Warning: the following episodes has spooky content and foul language afoot. Aside from the spooky and foul language you're going to hear, pen names are also used. Here at the Introverted Poets podcast, we pride ourselves on using pen names. The purpose of the pen names is to enjoy storytelling with no holds barred. Of course, unless you want to go without a pen name. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. It is I, Rachel Harris, I'm here to read to y'all the submission sent in by Nightwing special request. That's right. Here at the Introverted Poets podcast, if you don't feel like sharing your voice and you want to come in anonymous, we give you the option of picking who you want to narrate your story. You could choose between me, the Kiki Fit Mama, Ileana Jade, El Barrio Brujo, or Miss Monroe, and of course our guest narrators for our Spanish stories. Because the name of the game is to remain anonymous and anonymity, you get it? So, without further delay, let's get down and play, and sending you all love from Brooklyn, and shout out to the Bay. Rachel Harris here, lending you the vocals for Nightwing's story. Here we go. Okay, so this story happened on October 12, 2013 on 11:59 p.m. On that evening, I worked from 3 to 11 p.m. and I remember telling my ex I was so hungry and that for her to come to H-E-B on Saunders. Mind you, she lived blocks away, so it was within walking distance for her house. Anyway, by the time I clocked out, she was outside waiting for me. I asked her if she was craving, and to my surprise, not really. She said, McDonald's. So I said, fine, my brother worked at H-E-B Carpas and he didn't clock out till 2 a.m. So we had a ton of time. This was pre-pandemic. McDonald's was still 24 hours with the lobby open. So we killed and made our way towards McDonald's. After we ate, I told my ex to let me go home and change for my uniform so we could pick up my brother. I had a habit of always exiting towards the left on the drive-thru so I can get back around towards Nixon. But this time I made a mistake and went right, and I was facing the light and looking towards the hospital. I then got the red light, so I go, and all of a sudden I get this really hard hit on the driver's side. But anyway, before we go further into that, we're gonna go back to this part. I had this side cup holder on the driver's seat, which was awesome. I loved it. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. So I see the cup floating in air slow motion. I'm freaking out and I tell myself, what the f*** is going on? And then I look to my right and my ex is literally almost out the window. So I lift my right arm trying to pull her back into the car when all of a sudden I feel my heart racing 100 times faster than normal. And I feel like I'm having a heart attack. Mind you, we were already in the ground with my car destroyed when I saw this hand in what I could only imagine was a white suit. I couldn't see his face, but he put his hand on my chest next to my heart and told me it wasn't my time. I don't remember how long I was out, but when I woke up, the police officer who was there to witness everything told me what had happened to me. I asked the police officer who that man was, and he said, "What man?" There wasn't anyone there but me. I witnessed everything. He said he was at the intersection of Saunders and Malinche. He rushed over to me after the car stopped flipping in the air and when I finally hit the light post. He for sure thought we were dead. He called it in and stayed there, so he didn't know what I was talking about. To this day, it still remains a mystery to me after some time, and my ex and I talk about it, but we both don't understand what happened. She doesn't know what I'm talking about either. It didn't help that she was a heavy drug user. No, I wasn't on drugs. I never used drugs even till this day. So I knew she wasn't going to remember, but I still wanted to see if she saw something or someone there that night. Still gives me the chills thinking about it. So that's the story of what happened to me that night. Near-death experience or out-of-body experience. What do you guys think? That was a submission from Nightwing. His brother, The Dark Knight, has submitted 2 seasons ago, and we might get another submission from him. But this has been Rachel Harris, and it's been a wonderful pleasure reading this story to you all. Stick around to find out what other spooky tales of the winding road you all have submitted.
Hello, Miss Monroe, with another paranormal experience. This story is a paranormal experience that I shared with an ex-boyfriend of mine, and it's a story about a haunted hotel. The hotel is called Hotel Ava. Now, I don't know if you've heard any stories about this hotel, but there are some strange experiences and history behind the hotel. So basically, this hotel used to be a Holiday Inn, and I want to say maybe 5, I could be wrong, it could be 6 years ago. Before, when it was a Holiday Inn, there was a tragic ending there that happened within a family dynamic where a man had shot his wife and his children in one of the hotel rooms, which is why they ended up closing the Holiday Inn. They reinvented it and created the Ava Hotel. Now, I believe it was actually the 6th floor. I could be wrong, but there's some kind of strange activity that happens on this floor. Now, I've heard stories about children going missing at the hotel and being found on this floor. So me and my ex-boyfriend, we were thinking like, hey, let's go smoke a cigarette, let's find a place to smoke. But for some reason, he thought there was a patio up there. So we're getting in the elevator, which the elevator is sketch as hell, I'm not gonna lie. We get into the elevator, and then so we go up to this floor. The floor is completely wrecked. It's abandoned. There's just nothing but trash everywhere, old lamps, things that are breaking up. There was actually a storage room that was open, and I was actually gonna go in there, but it was really pitch black and it was kind of creepy looking. But me as a person who practices divination, I started trying to communicate with the spirits because I thought or felt that there could be possibly a spirit there with us, right? So here I am trying to joke around, but at the same time being serious. I'm like, hey, if there's any spirits here, you can channel through me and we can communicate, right? And so I thought that was a great idea, but I started getting sketched out, feeling a little spooked out. So I said, nah, let's get into the elevator, let's go back down to the first floor and smoke our cigarette, right? So we get into the elevator, right? And then we click the first floor button, and then all of a sudden the elevator goes down and then takes us straight back up to the 6th floor. And when I closed the door, I was like, oh no, hurry, close it. I actually did get a little spooked out, freaked out. I was just, joking around. So I pressed the closed door button real quick, and the doors opened again. So it was really sketch. It was really weird. And then his cousin ended up telling me those stories about the children going missing and being found on that floor, getting lost. So I thought it was some suspicious, creepy, paranormal experiences that I wanted to share here on the podcast with y'all. So I hope you guys like that story. If you guys have any stories regarding, the Ava Hotel or any haunted hotel stories, please.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this year's Spooky, Scary, Spectacular. I am the Geeky Fit Mama, here to continue this first episode of Season 4, Spooky, Scary, Spectacular. Thank you for tuning in with us. This is the 4th installment, therefore it's called Volume 4. For those of you not familiar and just tuning in, Spooky, Scary, Spectacular is one of our favorite staples here in the Introverted Poets podcast, along with a Not So Happy Valentine's Day special. What makes Spooky, Scary and a Not So Happy special is that we could do away with the interviews, which is our normal format throughout the season regularly, where we have the writer, painter, fashion designer, whatever artist they are, or whatever medium they use, we interview them in that process. Then we talk about what pieces they're working on, so on and so forth. We 80-60 interviews, and we start talking about just the story. You just talk about what happened. So, for example, here during Spooky Scary, you just talk about your paranormal experience, or the listener just writes about their paranormal experience, whether it be anonymously, read by us, pen name, audio clip, video clip, however you want it to be done. So this next story is an experience by yours truly. Check it out. It was on a date night this past October of 2023. I was out with my husband and we were, having family night. I had just started my new job and it has been very exhausting. So rather than going out to dinner, I just like to stay in, have a drink or two, and then just be having catch up time with my husband since he works 2 full-time jobs. We really take our alone time, our couple time seriously. So as I was saying, it was on a Friday night. I want to say maybe like October 6th or October the 13th. I'm not too sure. And as we were like cruising by trying to decide what to eat, I was just like, you know what, baby, I'm too tired. Like, there is no way I can sit down and wait for a table and, have to deal with a bunch of other people. Let's just go pick up baby girl and come back home. So luckily, my parents live really close by to our house. So as we were driving by home, I was looking out the window and we were driving by a body shop on Arkansas Street. And I noticed that it was like brightly lit and I was just like, okay. And it was already like 9:30, 10. Since it is getting darker sooner, I was just looking out the window and I noticed like this chunky man with like a button nose, sandy hair, and like I was just like, oh, okay. And what caught my attention, it was not the body shop, it was the house that's across the street from it. And it's on the corner of Market in Arkansas. And I was like, oh wow, dude, like this is super chic. Like, imagine living on the corner of the street and there, like, all the cars that pass by, like, you can't even park your car out here without worrying somebody's gonna hit it because people drive like shit here, especially in that pocket of the city and on the other side of Market too as well. So as mentioned like earlier, the Nightwing, the person who had submitted his story, he happens to be from the area, and this is what happened. I hope you all can see the screenshots there. It did blur out the names just because he does want to stay anonymous, and we respect that here in the Introverted Poets podcast. So I asked him, and he said, I witnessed someone take their own life there when I was 10 to 12 years old, and that it was crazy. So I told him I saw this person last week. I didn't think much of it because most men in Laredo work on their talleres. So a taller is like a body shop basically until late. And it's true, like some men, that's their hobby. And they'll be out there till 3, 4 in the morning working on their car. And that's normal here. So, and as I mentioned, it was that badly placed house that I was like, the hell? That's horrible. So he said that it, due to CPS deeming the house not hospitable for humans or for children to live in, they took this gentleman's children away, and right after that, he unalived himself by shooting himself in the head. So the way Nightwing said it was that him and his friend were outside and that he at first aimed the gun at him and his friend, and then that he pointed it to himself and blew his brains out. And his words were, I can't do this anymore, but in Spanish, and go to hell in Spanish. And then afterwards, that's when he proceeded to aim the gun at Nightwing and his friend. So after we had this conversation, I told him, like, is it okay if I share this information, if I just change your name? He said yes. So it was crazy because I told him, by the way, your shirts are already being made. Then as we were conversing, that's when I asked him, like, can I ask you a question? And it's the tire shop that's right behind this new taco shop that opened. They open at night and they have like sombreros hanging on the fence. The food's obviously popping. They're always packed. And that was crazy. Like, so now every time I drive by there, I always look at the tire shop to see if I'll see the apparition again. And the way I describe the man, like chunky with sandy brown hair, a button nose, and like a dark blue button down is the way Nightwing said the man looked like. So this is the Geeky Fit Mama, and that was my paranormal experience of 2023 recently. But no, after seeing that apparition at the tire shop, I turned away, I looked back, and the man was gone. Nothing too scary, but it was just the way it unfolded and the way I got the information. Like, at first glance seeing it, I knew that what I saw wasn't normal or real, or not real, but not normal. But then getting that confirmation from Nightwing was crazy. So yes, I'm the Geeky Fit Mama. I hope this story was interesting to you, and I hope you're enjoying Spooky, Scary, Spectacular, and I hope you're safe out there having a wonderful time Black Friday shopping. Welcome to this installment of our first Spooky, Scary submission from one of our veterans from season 2. If you all have been around, you might have heard the name of Judash before, but we're going to start doing this differently. And this submission is actually done in the studio. Actually, I want to say your first submission was done in the first old studio back by the 3 Points headquarters. And she shared very awesome ghostly encounters. You can find that on Spotify. That's when we were without the video in the video platform that Miss Monroe spearheaded as of last season. So it's part of Tales from the Monte. Judash is here to share her experiences at a local park here in where headquarters is stationed, Laredo, Texas. I am the Geeky Fit Mama in studio with Judash. This is a previously recorded installment.
Okay, so this took place in a park here in South Laredo. I believe the park is called Dryden Memorial Park or something like that. But yeah, so my daughter's dad and I co-parent, and we often take her, our daughter, to the park to eat, just stuff like outings. And so this particular time we took her to that park, and it was our first time at that park. So when we got there, there were only 3 other kids there in that like little play area, and they were all siblings. So it was a little girl and her two younger brothers. So the little girl must have been 7, 8 years old max. The middle child was probably maybe like 6, I'd say, and the youngest one was probably like 2, maybe gonna turn 3 soon. So my daughter was older than their youngest, but younger than the middle child. So, just so you can get a perspective of the kids and like the setting, I'm gonna be a little bit heavy on the details, but so the kids were like being wonderful. They weren't being rowdy. They were all taking turns, going down the slide with my daughter. Like they were being super, super, super gentle. And so, but we, at some point, my daughter's dad and I could tell that the little girl was kind of trying to initiate, like, to play with my daughter, but like she didn't really know how, because we were also kind of just being helicopter parents. So, so we just kept praising the kids, like, for doing a good job and, like, taking turns and stuff. So, basically letting them know that, like, they can play with our daughter, and it was okay. So at one point, they started playing, and at one point, the little girl goes, oh, let's play hide and seek to, like, everybody. So my daughter doesn't really necessarily get the concept of hide and seek yet. Well, she didn't at that time. And so, she just kept going down the slide. And so the little girl gets down, like, off of the little, like, bridge area on the playground. And she starts counting, but she's down there where my daughter's dad is. And then the middle kid, he was also underneath the playground. He was hiding underneath. So she started counting, right? He went to go hide. And then the youngest one was hiding up there by the dome area. Like, that those slides on the playground, like the biggest slide normally has like a little dome over it. So he was hiding in there, like where the dome is. And so my little girl was going up the stairs to that same slide to go down. And so when she was going to enter the dome, like I could see she was headed toward it. I like started approaching her to tell her to be quiet. Basically, and to be quiet and to like be careful not to like step on the kid because he was hiding. And I didn't want to like say it out loud either because I didn't want to blow the kid's cover, right? So as she gets closer to the stairs, I get closer too, and I tell her, okay, be careful. And she just immediately goes down the slide like nothing. Like she didn't, like nothing was in her way. She didn't like move a little, like slightly, like nothing. So here's the view I had. I was in the back of the slide, so I was getting like the behind the scenes view, so I could see inside the dome, but through the back. And my daughter's dad was in the front of the slide, so he can see inside the dome too, but through the front. So we could both see inside, but just him from the front, me from the back. So when she went down, and like I noticed like she didn't even like nothing, you know, she just went down. I was like, what? So I ran to the front, maybe like 6 feet in front of me, tops. And I asked my daughter's dad, I was like, hey, oh, I'm sorry, no, backtrack. When I ran to the front, I saw the little one hiding underneath the playground too. So I saw both of them, right? It was the middle one, like toward the back, and this little one kind of next to my daughter's dad, but like underneath the playground. And so I asked him, like, did he just come down this slide? And he was like, no, he's been hiding here. Why? And I was like, because I mean, I saw him up there he was like, no, just our daughter had gone down the slide. So I was super spooked, to say the least. I kind of wanted to go. I was like, no, like I kind of want to leave. Like that was weird, you know. Like, and there's no way I could have imagined that. Like, I mean, I was straight up looking at this kid hiding for a little bit, you know, for not a few seconds, like at least a good minute, probably. And so I was super spooked. And then my daughter's dad goes. He like had to make it a super sad situation, and he was just like. He's like, it's really sad if you think about it. And I was like, what? And he's just like, yeah. He's like, the little girl announced, you know, we should play hide and seek. And that's what he was doing. You know, he was hiding. And that made me start bawling my eyes out. I thought it was so sad. And I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, so that happened here at that park. Yeah, thank you.
This is the Geeky Fit Mama, and I hope you all enjoyed our first installment of this season's Spooky, Scary, Spectacular. That was a story from Nightwing, myself, Judash, and of course, Miss Monroe. If any of you all are familiar with any of the places mentioned below, or you've had an experience in these places that was mentioned in the video episode or audio, however you consume the Introverted Poets podcast, please comment down below and don't be afraid. Get down and play with us. And for those of you that submitted, don't be afraid to post pictures of yourselves with the Spooky, Scary, Spectacular shirt this year. And shout out to Cortazo's Creations, Jamie Cortazo, for making our Spooky, Scary, Spectacular shirts. This is the Geeky Fit Mama, and as always, I hope you all stay safe out there, and I'll catch you next time for the second installment of Spooky, Scary, Spectacular. And as always, stay safe out there. Bye-bye.